And it's okay to cough as well.
Yeah, just in your elbow, please.
Okay, so we're in World North of Ireland Yacht Club. Don't know if we call this an I Sailing Team podcast or informal Q&A, but we've got Bobby and Fiachra. Bobby, what are we doing in Royal North? What's coming up?
Organised a small training camp here, 4 days, high performance training camp with Fiachra. Lucky enough to come up from Dublin, and bit of preparation before the ISAFs in December in Billimore.
So obviously ISAFs, you're representing Ireland, the sole rep. Do you want to maybe tell us a little bit about Youth Worlds? There's only one rep per country. How do you become the guy?
ISAFs is a combination of doing well nationally and internationally. I've had to qualify top 20% in a couple of Europa Cups, small European events and Worlds, and then going down to the selection through the ISAs, the Irish Sailing Youth Championships, and won that. And yeah, that's selection from there.
Good man. And how are you feeling going into the week? What made you decide we need to get these 4 days of training beforehand?
So obviously with the ISAFs being in December, it kind of clashes with the exams and on school, considering I'm in upper sixth. So just had the exams last week. Thought I needed to get my head back in the right place. Have just 4 days of just being in the same rhythm again as I was in the summer for good preparation. That's about it.
Good man. And Fiachra, obviously at some point you got the call up to come and train.
Yeah.
Talk to us about where you at in your programme and how did this all fit in?
Well, I'm probably just about pretty much a year ahead of Bobby now in terms of the, not necessarily level, but in terms of the progress. In terms of, I'm now finished my under-21. This is my last year now in the under-21 fleet. So I did the Worlds and the Europeans, and now next year we'll be transitioning fully to senior. So kind of just setting up a winter training and setting up the plan for a full-time campaign next year for senior. Yeah.
Very good. And the benefit then of having the talent pool in Ireland, do you think there's an angle that we try and do more of these things in the future? And there's a lot of, don't try and be the top guy in Ireland, we actually have to try and increase the quality across the board, and sparring together and getting more people involved is beneficial?
Yeah, well, absolutely. I think the more people train together in terms of at a youth level, the more everyone learns from each other. And even if you've got like a big discrepancy in level, like the people who are kind of not even at a lower level, but maybe just less experienced, they'll learn way more from the experienced guys. And the more you feed back into the community, the more you feed back into the training groups, the more everyone will get better eventually. And I think especially in Ireland, there's such a big opportunity for people all across Ireland because there's so many popular clubs and so many clubs with dinghy sailing involved as well. So I feel like, especially in the Ilka, over the last couple of years, it's grown so much to the point where there's a big opportunity to get everyone involved and get training programs going.
Yeah. Obviously, you guys come off pretty good season. Fiachra, you're top boat in Ireland, fair to say, at a under 21 level and probably at a all-round level. Obviously, Finn and Ewan are doing their thing out there internationally, but you're chipping away here. And Bobby, top Ilka 6, debatable at times, but probably most of the time you'd like to put yourself up there.
Yeah.
Moving into full rig now. Maybe let's take a little step back and a bit more connect the dots with clubs and the programmes here in Northern Ireland. How do you both, why sailing? Rugby's big thing here in Ulster, and Fiachra from down south. Maybe talk to us about the sport and why you've decided to commit so much time and parts of your life to it.
Yeah. I'd say particularly up north in schools, there's a lot of interest with hockey and rugby. I used to be a rugby player myself, but with the RIA Northern Ireland, they actually introduced a lot more squad weekend coaching and training to become in the squads. I've never really had any training in Ireland, so Hami actually got me introduced in the sort of pathway. I really enjoyed all the training. Thought I had a bit more of a future with sailing than rugby, just with the sheer size. I didn't think I had the size in rugby, and well, I just really enjoyed sailing compared to rugby. Anyways, just with the I kind of like to be more myself. I say in rugby, yeah, there's more of a team spirit. In sailing, it's about yourself. I like being selfish. I like just only thinking about myself. So yeah, there's sailing.
Okay, perfect. What about you, Fiachra? Any more wholesome than that, or are you just selfish like Bobby?
A little bit from where Bobby's come from as well, but I think like you can sailing is you're sailing on your own in the boat, especially for us. Obviously, you can get to classes where you're sailing with other people, but in terms of sailing as a whole, I think it's such a large opportunity, not just as performance, like as a social aspect as well. Like just the amount of clubs in Ireland and the amount of people who come out on the weekend just for the love of the sport and the love of the getting to see their friends, and it's a fantastic way for everyone to come together as well. And obviously all sports in Ireland bring that, but I don't think, especially in Dublin, I don't think anything compared to me in terms of getting out on the water and the competition and the different aspects of the sport as well. There's not like one factor that makes you better. There's probably, you spend so many hours perfecting so many different skills just to get even to a certain level. And I think that's what makes sailing so exciting as a performance level.
And always in Ireland, or where do you grow up sailing, or what was there a key moment that you thought, right, this is it, I'm going to commit to, if I'm going to do sport, it's going to be sailing?
Yeah, well, I grew up in Bermuda, so that probably helped anyways, living in an island in the middle of the ocean where it's probably the only thing you can do is go sailing. But I started with, believe it or not, there was actually some football in Bermuda, but I started with football and sailing, but sailing was kind of always the main one in terms of growing up. I got into the Oppies, and every year there was the Gold Cup, Junior Gold Cup, and the main Gold Cup in Bermuda. So we had the likes of top match racing level sailors and like people I'd look up to now as some of the greatest sailors to be on the water, and they would come out yearly to Bermuda, and there'd be loads of events on, and like that kind of atmosphere and that kind of community. Like once I got involved in that, there was kind of no turning back, and every year we'd have junior events, and as I got through the Oppies, got more and more competitive, and then moved back to Ireland when I was about 12, so a couple of years ago now, and got into the laser sailing, and I kind of knew it was always what I wanted to do, especially looking back now. My final years in Bermuda, the America's Cup was there, so that was kind of like the game changer, I'd say, in terms of like, wow, this is probably the thing I want to do for the rest of my life, so that probably helped.
Yeah, good man. Well, obviously so far so good for you guys. International's probably, fair to say, quite a step up. What sort of milestones or achievements do you think you'd have along the way? I mean, obviously at the minute you'd both say Olympics is the dream, but is there any, what's the objectives that we can achieve this year or next year?
Well, the beauty about sailing is there's so many different pathways amidst just from the classic performance pathway itself. Well, for me, the next couple of years will be looking at under 21 development sort of level. I'll definitely be thinking about potential gap year, to really focus on the final year of under 21, get a good result, and from there, like, many opportunities can open with good results for the keelboat performance pathway, as well as the actual Olympic pathway, which is Fiachra going into it right now.
Yeah, Fiachra, you're coming probably, were you in under 21? Have you another season to go?
No, this is my last year this year, so kind of, well, I was quite happy with this year, but now we're moving into senior, so kind of a smaller fish in the biggest pond now, I suppose.
And do you think it's fair to say every time you move up a class, rig size, or from youth up into under 21 and now under 21 to senior, you're always going to be at the back of the fleet, have to chip away and work your way back up? Like, is there an element of attrition in this sport and just keep hard work pays off, or do you think there's certain milestones you need to be hitting along the way to?
Yeah, I think you can't let it really deter you in any way in terms of, like, you have to understand that when you're moving up a level, there's always going to be a change, but that I don't think you can let it intimidate you. Like, I don't think you could say, for example, with even Bobby moving into under 21 now, I don't even know him personally, you wouldn't be intimidated by the likes of the older lads, slightly older lads now, just because, the level increases, but that doesn't mean you can't go out there and still show your best and show what level you have. Because, so many people at a young age as well, even if you look at the senior fleet now, there's still young guys at the top. So, it's not like it can't be done. It's just in terms of you can't let it deter you from your progress and your goals. It's yet again, there's the opposite as well. You can't be too overconfident and go in and think you're going to win everything in a new category or a new level. But I think you have to understand where you are and what you need to work on, and then just go from there. Just take it step by step. That's all you can do.
I suppose there's a saying, people would say either win or you lose type of thing. So like, obviously in Ireland, is there an angle that you want to go out and going to get the win? That's where you're trying to get your silverware, so to speak, or your confidence boost. But international, it's important to have your achievable goals.
Yeah.
Bobby, Youth Worlds, maybe coming up this week then. Have you got a goal? Is it purely let's go and have a go and see how it goes? If it's my conditions, we might do well, or is it just a nice to do? Where your head at with it?
This year's been like probably one of the most it's been a very challenging year with the amount of school I've missed. But apart from that, loads and loads of sailing. I don't think I've ever put as much effort into sailing than I have this year. So I'm going into this event pretty confident. Just gonna do what I do in training on all the other events that I've done well at, and just take each day by day. But if it's looking strong wins, I'm fairly confident.
Good man. Fiachra, what about you? Any events this side of Christmas, or are you now in a bit of a training phase?
Well, now until the start of the senior season, I'll be in a bit of a training phase. The events I'll be doing will be more training orientated. I've got a good block out in Malta now with the sail coach guys, so I'll be heading over for the Europa Cup there just before Christmas. So that'll be a good chance to yet again just look at what the work-ons are, and then for the rest of the winter just drill on them and make sure I refine them before I get myself on the start line for the likes of hopefully Palma and Kiers and the next big events.
Obviously, you both touched on time in the water has always been the old adage as being the number one, and both of you put a lot of time in the water this season. School, work-life balance, a lot of people listening probably in the same sort of age rangers, trying to figure out, I need to sail as much as possible, mum and dad think I've got to get my exams, is sailing a real job, etc. How do you balance all that? Because you've got to commit, but you're going to have to make sure you've got your head in the game, that you're taking it seriously. How do you get that balance, or is that actually a big challenge?
A lot of sacrificing, I've learned. So a lot of missing parties. Like, I had to miss a lot of my best friend parties for sailing events, or whether that's catching up with schoolwork. It's for the young people who are looking to sacrifice school for sailing. Like, just look at it as if you're yourself 5 years later, and you ask yourself, was it really worth it to really, go in for that week of school, or else you could have been training somewhere abroad. I know for myself that I don't care about any of the school I've missed, and it's important to discuss with teachers what you're missing. If you're looking to do well academically, but yeah.
Well, it's fair to say, on behalf of any parents listening, that we're not advocating to ditch school as such. I mean, Bobby, you've had a decent enough run at exams. Like, you do what you miss, you haven't put the time in.
Yeah.
We've wrote letters to schools and parents and teachers before. It is. Would you argue it is doable? But you just have to be a lot more committed.
It is doable, but I'm fairly good. You have to be good at sacrificing and knowing what is the priority. If you have sailing throughout the week and you're back on the weekend to catch up with work for the next school weekend, you can't don't bother going to any friends' birthdays or any
No
family
fun.
meetings. Like, it's just straight from sailing, do your homework, and then go to school. Like, that's what I've done. So you just get good at sacrificing.
And just before we get to Fiachra's thoughts, is it worth it?
Absolutely, it's worth it. I'm still hanging in there in school. Like, I've got my A levels coming up, but did pretty well in GCSEs. Did well in AS, and yeah. I mean, this year I'll be doing significantly more school than I did last year. Won't be going away as much. You gotta lock in for your A levels, but GCSEs from experience, that's probably the perfect time to go abroad.
All right. Well, I think a lot of people have to decide. The key there is at some point you've got to take it seriously, and at some point you're going to have to put a lot more commitment in, and that might mean missing school, logistically doing it right. Don't just bunk off, right? But definitely you're going to have to afford the time in the water somehow.
Yeah.
Fiachra, down south, transition years, gap years, things. How's your trajectory been, or how have you managed it?
Well, obviously the whole education system's a bit different in terms of exams as well, but I kind of managed it in terms of I tried to get away as much as I could, and I kind of almost tried to do the bare minimum, but actually learned as I went on that you got to go to school, and you got to do the exams as well. So it's in terms of the final year of exams for 6 year. For me, it was worth taking the hit and just kind of taking the kind of build up a couple of months into it, and I kind of shifted the focus of sailing because time on the water is it's very time consuming because sailing's not a sport like football or rugby where you can show up with put your boots on and get to a training pitch. Or sailing, you're spending hours on the boat and getting in and getting out, and it's quite challenging in terms of that, and also getting down to the club. But for me, I was very fortunate to be able to live in such a good location between my school and my club as well, so I could kind of manage it. But as I approached the exams, I did take a bit more of a hit, and then I also kind of honed in more on fitness and more of the things I could manage in terms of what I need to work on. So if you want to get better at sailing, there's so many things you can work on outside of the boat as well. So that's why it's such a good sport. If you can't get out and you can't get to the water because you've got so much going on in school, then there's other things you could work on at home as well, because there's always enough time in the day, especially if you make it as well. And then for me, after I did my leaving cert, I kind of switched the focus to, I picked a course in UCD for health and performance science, where now I'm doing something that I enjoy and something that's going to help me with my sailing as well. And I think it's always good to have a backup as well, but it's you kind of have to make choices which allow you to do the things you want to do as well. It's definitely one of the more difficult kind of problems we have in sailing now. But
it was interesting today. You actually mentioned how not only have you managed to balance it, but you're actually using your sailing as part of your degree.
Yeah.
Your own case study, so to speak, in terms of performance prepping and planning seasons. So not insurmountable. Lots of people have done it in the past, and I suppose people have to really ask themselves the question of where their heads are academically versus sports. But sailing, a lot of time commitment, no way around it. Even getting changed, rigging, everything, it's a day's exercise. You can't really just get a quick hour in here or there like some other sports.
I think if you look at any athlete as well, from not just sailing's definitely a more difficult sport in terms of time managing. But if you look at other athletes, unless you're at such an elite level where you can afford missing school because you're so deep into performance, I think a lot of people will take the hit just for the big exams and the priority exams. But as any sort of student athlete, you have to be able to manage your time much better than anyone else, really.
So let's go big picture. Ilka sailing in Ireland. I think a bit interesting subject. Obviously, Finn and Ewan doing well. Finn's got some really credible results. Ewan's up at the hills. You guys could feel a lot of pressure out of that. Equally, you've got Tom Coulter, you guys sparring together. How does all that work? Is there a rivalry? Do you, not to say you hit each other, but you got to get Finn and Ewan out of the way for it to be your turn, or how does it all work? do they inspire you? Do you see yourself having to inspire the next generation?
I think it's I think it's such a privilege to have them kind of in front of us and someone to basically almost not in terms of what we do almost look up to them, but kind of
They raise the bar.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's such a high level now that, you know, it does inspire us to get to that level, and through being like in a program where we can work with them and even have the privilege to train with them as well. You know, it's good to learn so much from them to the point where they're helping us, and they want the best for us as well. So building that community in a program like Ilka Ireland is the most important thing. Like building a community where everyone's training together and everyone wants everyone else to get better. You know, between us and the likes of Tom, we train each other and we'd, you know, bite each other's necks and try and get ahead at every opportunity. But when we come off the water, we'll, you know, talk about what we learned and talk about how we can get better. Because at the end of the day, we want to beat each other, and we want, obviously, the end goal is to win a race, but we understand that we're not going to get there by ourselves.
And maybe more towards you, Bobby, but, you know, it sounds like a lot of this is on your own head. Obviously, the parents and families got to make commitment and back you guys. But what about, you know, clubs in Northern Ireland or even Ireland and your other peers? Like, how hard is it to go from being an NI sailor to I actually want to get to the Olympics? Is there support? What do you guys think of the sailing scene in Ireland? Like, broad brush statement, don't have to get politics. Maybe this might ruffle a few feathers if we're lucky, but for your generation, what should sailing look like? How does it inspire you? What do you want to see more of?
I'd say they could do a better job with I'm not trying to get too political as well. But they could do a better job with like sort of helping you even if you're not in squads. You know, I'd say the traditional way of how Fiachra and I have had to get into a squad is like, well, particularly for Fiachra, because there's no I was lucky enough to have the Northern Irish Sailing squad. I don't know how Fiachra got in the academy, but Hammy really helped me with the squads up north. They're a lot better with doing club regional training before turning into a national training, and then I was lucky to be recognised with the training up north from Ireland, and then I was brought down over there. But I'd say it's harder for all the people down south. There's not, they need to have more sort of like regional training within, for example, Cork. They can have regional training in like Waterford, and then they get recognised by Irish Sailing. Otherwise, it's just they just base it off results. Whereas there could be people who are really interested in getting into the Irish squad, but they don't really have that much help.
Yeah, and Fiachra, your home club, did you get training there? Is that where you cut your teeth, or how did it all come to be for you then?
Well, between the Irish to George and the national, there is probably one of the biggest Ilka like groups in Ireland, and especially in the George, they've got such a large Ilka fleet, and there's quite a lot. Like for me, when I first got into training in the laser in Ireland, I only got about a couple months in the 4.7 before COVID hit, so it was difficult for me to get involved. But we still worked away, and we still, you know, there's still the community there where we got a group together, we got a coach out, and we got people out who wanted to sail, wanted to join. And there's the likes of the Frostbite series, there's always sprint regattas, and it's getting last few years it's getting much better in terms of what's available for people. You know, if you ask someone they want to get into sailing, they want to get into a competitive fleet in Dublin, it'll be the laser class that will have the most attention, especially for dinghy sailing. And then in terms of the programs for the training, especially for the younger guys, the George are doing a great job in terms of, you know, getting everyone involved and getting everyone together, not just from members of the George, but across kind of the whole Dunleary community as well, getting people out. And there's the likes of a pre-performance group for people who aren't there yet, and then there's a performance group as well for the 4.7s and the Ilka 6, and that's been run for a couple of years now, and it's getting more and more. People are getting better and people are getting more involved, and like there's the likes of talks about even getting them overseas and looking at doing training with even if they're not on squads, getting around that area and kind of, you know,
Experiencing what
Yeah.
the next level looks like.
exactly.
Bit of an open question. Is sailing cool? And I'm asking that in two guises. Obviously, we've got club racing, round the cans, even things like Dunleary Week, different level events here in Ireland, more at a recreational level. You've got Sail GP, America's Cup, stuff that's flying around catamarans, doing 8 minute long races, foiling, social media, all the rest. You guys have more access to sailing than we've ever had, but equally, what's cool? What do you guys want to do? How do you get involved? Like, why do you like sailing outside of your leisure? Have you any interest and what is it?
Do you want to go?
I particularly think why sailing is like is all better in my opinion than like rugby. It's just like the connection, just outside of it. So there's so many opportunities to sail in different boats and sailing. You know, you don't have to just stick to your laser the whole time for us ourselves. You know, it's important to have a sort of to have experience in all these different boats, different classes. Some boats go faster, some boats go slower, but there's more boats. And well, that's what we're in, the slow boat class. So it's actually quite fun to go in some fast boats sometimes. But like the scene, because a regatta is about 6 days long. There's a lot of like mental game in sailing as well. So, you know, you're off the water and you're thinking about sailing. You got to keep your head right. But then there's also, you know, I've got many friends from different countries. Where my best friend is from Hungary. So like, if I was still stuck doing rugby, it would still be my average best mates from school.
Yeah, I guess but that's an interesting point in sailing. At some point, you go to either a laser regatta, like you go to Laser Worlds, you're up against like guys who've done America's Cups already, still putting their teeth in laser, or going to another class. You get to rub shoulders and race on an even field against the top guys in the world, which can only be inspiring, even if you have to take them on the chin that you've got a bit of work to do to catch them.
Yeah.
Future goals then, I mean, obviously it's easy to just spit out Olympics, but like even go beyond that. Like, are we going to sail forever? We're going to find you in your 70s racing some wooden boat around a club, or like what would you like your future to look like, Bobby?
Well, the thing about sailing is, compared to all other sports, you can sail literally forever. In rugby, you're gonna have to retire at some stage. In sailing, you can be sailing forever. So, but for me, the idea right now would be that sort of Olympic sort of pathway. But there's definitely a big interest in keelboat racing professionally. I sort of like the idea of. I'm talking back to myself, like the idea of probably working in a team. You know.
Yeah.
I'm going fast as well, sort of seeing the technical side. I mean, there's a lot of for Fiachra is probably looking at the Olympic pathway. I don't know if you're thinking about any yachts, but for us it's going to be there's a decent amount of competition to be in that Olympic spot. So yeah, it comes down to sacrifices as well of, you know, how much work I put in. You know, you need to put a lot more work in if you want to go to the Olympics and stuff, but you know, that's I'm still trying to make my mind. It's kind of complicated. I still got to work on skill and a bit of parent talking as well. So
You're still young.
yeah, still young.
Yeah, and it's important. I think there's a real balance to say at some point you got to take it seriously, but a lot of people burn out, and getting that balance is key. Figure out about you, Olympics. Is it a tick box, or is it a dream goal, or is it like a step on the road to something else, or where does it all picture out for you?
It's probably the Olympics would probably be the dream, as in just the prestigious kind of almost aura around it. It's like, you know, it's the biggest sporting competition in the world, and to consider yourself an Olympian is such a, you know, it's a pretty cool thing to say. Yeah. So
you get to send it off in your emails and everything, don't
you?
Get the tattoo.
But it's not even to say you're Olympian as well. It's also to even the thought of getting to a stage where you could compete for a medal is, you know, that's kind of the top of the block is what you want to be. And not only that, Olympics is obviously the thing that attracts people the most to, performance, especially for our sport. But another thing is our sport is there's always another event, and if it's not Olympics, if sailing wasn't even the Olympics, it wouldn't, like, it might bother me, but in terms of there'd be so much more still out there, like to be considered a world champion or a winner of Palma or anything like that is a big dream as well. Just to be able to compete in this fleet at the highest level against the top guys in the world, it's definitely a dream.
And it is pretty cool that I think there's something for everybody, right?
Yeah.
Even your brother, Bobby, does a bit of wing foiling. You could argue wing foiling comes in the Olympics and he might have a better shot than you do.
Yeah.
So
You'd have to get his act together though, like.
But I think it's cool that anyone who thinks, oh, I don't like sailing, it's probably that they just haven't found the type of sailing that attracts them.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like some people, like, I would probably go as far as calling myself and Fiachra mentally ill. Like, some trainings we're stuck in the laser with like very light winds on the water for 5 hours.
Like today.
Yeah, for example today,
Raining.
I'd say raining as well. But Fiachra and I have got that interest. We're trying to push in training as much. I'd say we've got a trait that no one else really has. I'd say your average Tom, Dick, and Harry would have the intelligence span of just like 5 minutes, and it's like, yeah, F this, go home.
Yeah, fair enough. It's I mean, it's probably a sport that's not for everyone, but you'll find what suits. If you don't have the attention span, you're gonna love fast performance things and ripping around the place. If you're in the real slow tactical stuff, there's definitely tons of boats for that too. So I suppose the advice would be say yes. If people say, do you want a crew, do you want a helm, do you want to get out today, go for it. And if you don't enjoy it, at least you not to do that again, or maybe it's the wrong sort of crew you've been with.
Yeah.
Conscious, everything we've talked about all sounds lovely, but it's probably hard to get around. It's an expensive sport. Doesn't mean it's always going to be your money, but someone's going to have to pay for it. Is that a challenge at the minute?
Yeah, I'd say it's the biggest challenge in our sport. I mean, it's probably, I think the last Olympics, it was the most expensive, second to equestrian or something like that. It's, if you think about what you have to pay for, like, it's great that you get to travel the world and see all these cool places, but you got to get there and you got to have a boat there and sails, and you got to have the best kit as well if you want to do the best. So it's always, it all adds up, and it's definitely not a cheap sport. So in terms of support, that's definitely something you need along the way, and you need heaps of it in our sport.
And we've got, even from an NI sailing point of view, recently the girls, Erin and Ellen, the FX, just scored karting. I mean, how much does things like that start to be actual tick box within the pathway? Like, goals you're having to achieve almost as a stepping stone to the next goal is to unlock a bit more funding, right?
Yeah, well, that's definitely something on probably my list as well in terms of one of my goals. Maybe not for, you can prioritize it and look at it in terms of what you need, but I don't think you can let it affect your result in terms of, if I didn't have the support and I had to look at it one day, like maybe I just don't have enough money for it, then I think I'd still find a way to, if I wasn't as involved in performance sport, I'd still be, in a sense, sailing in some aspect. Like if it's driving up north with my own laser to piss around with Bobby for an hour or so, I'd still do it. Like it's not like, I don't think I'll let it deter me too much, but in terms of getting to the Olympics, it's not going to be cheap. And, me and myself, I have to find a way to make money and find a way to get some sort of traction going. And in terms of karting, that's probably, a big goal of mine, because, it would take me to the next level.
And Bobby touched on earlier about a sacrifice. I think I always find it, even myself, amusing. People complain how expensive it was to go to a certain event, and yet those same people are staying in a 4 or 5 star hotel, chartering boats, the rest. Like, I think there's area of sacrifice, which is sleep in the back of the van, doing a bit of driving for other folk. You're like, you're gonna have to take it on, right?
100%.
That's part of the life. Bit of an interesting one, and I don't like to say what's your advice to younger self, etc. But and way of phrasing it might be, are there any skills or habits that maybe you wish you developed earlier in your sailing career, or maybe bad habits you have now that, if I could just stop doing that, that would unlock a lot more for me? Like, what's your advice to, I'll go and say it, to your younger self? Picturing back to like first days in the laser, what would you do differently?
Probably be a lot more organised, like I've had, one of my very good coaches, Milan, he really whipped me into shape. I arrived on the Irish Academy not very organised, sort of, like I was really interested in the sailing, but I hadn't actually, sometimes it's all about getting everything organised, everything together, whether that's packing all your kit, having like a second kit if something breaks.
Have you ever turned up at an event without a sail or a centreboard or a life jacket or something major?
Yeah, like yeah. I've probably forgotten to sail at an event, that sort of thing. So
it's not good for boat speed.
Yeah, it's not good.
I think I left a boom in Poland once as well.
So being organised is a big game changer. It also makes you really confident as well. Going to an event thinking you've forgotten something is, it makes it shit. Like.
Well, I mean, I always remember going to events, and if you ever felt you're on the back foot chasing yourself, you're late to get there, you're trying to register, you're launching nearly last. It's hard to all of a sudden flip the head into let's go racing, right? It's always nice to make sure everything's ticked off and you've got time to relax. Fiachra, what you?
Yeah, I think. Oh, sorry. What was the question again?
So.
It's to my
what's
younger
your
self.
even younger self, but even now, like if there's anything you reflect back and think, you know what, if I was coaching someone or if I could do it all again, the biggest change would be?
I don't know. I think in sailing it's so easy to come off the water and kind of say, "Oh, I should have done this. Should have done that."
That's a big one as well.
It's one of those sports, so it's hard to. I actually think my younger self, especially in Oppies, I was probably not better at sailing, but one of my problems now is I kind of overcomplicate things too much. So, especially when you get to a higher level, you kind of have to start thinking about things way more. Whereas when I was sailing Oppies, I just didn't have a care in the world and was actually probably sailing better sometimes. But
and it's something experience probably helps with, which is I think the big jump when you go to senior isn't that they're better than you as such. It's that they've made all those mistakes and learned from them, and they've made any more mistakes than you have, and you still to make them. Yeah,
I think that's a main thing as well in sailing is understanding that you're not gonna. If you win all the time, won every race, you're not really learning as much as the guy who's struggling the most and trying to make sense of it as well. So I think, I'm definitely proud of how far I've come in the past couple of years in terms of sailing, but I think, there's definitely mistakes along the way that I could have looked at in terms of maybe, like Bobby touched on, being more organised, stuff like that, but that's also part of the learning growth, getting a sailor from a young, stupid kid who doesn't even make his bed in the morning to an athlete basically. It's almost turning kids into men, but it's all learning growth really.
Well, the next thing is you're probably going to be looking at, you're almost a brand or business in yourself and getting sponsors, keeping them happy, managing it, booking all your accommodation, getting all that done at the right time of year or ahead of yourself so you can focus purely on the first upbeat.
Yeah.
Probably the key. Right, bit of quick fire then, off the cuff. Favourite boat, Bobby?
Favorite.
Quick fire, of course.
Yeah, quick fire.
Spit it out.
I love my laser.
Laser?
Yeah.
Okay, Fiachra?
I'd say it in laser. Oh, I'd say Oppie actually. I'd go
Oppie,
yeah.
Okay. What about currently unattainable boat, like you watch it on TV, whatever, what's it going to be? Is it America's Cup? Is it CLGP?
The America's Cup boats before it's the foiling. Before the foiling.
Oh, the 90s?
With your team.
Matches.
Yeah. That seems class.
Yeah, I'd say that'd be up there in the ranks.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
I'd say TP.
TP? Yeah. Solid.
Oh, yes. Of course. And capes.
But Grand Prix, keelboat, one design type of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. What do you take in the water? What's your favourite snack? Is there a go-to you can't launch without it, or is it depending on the conditions?
Well, we're forcing the gels, but really, Square Bars and Haribo, like,
Yeah, it's bang on.
yeah.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Same with you, Fiachra?
Yeah, the
Don't want to eat
them
gels
little
crap.
those fruit naked bars I always have as well. I always, especially when going away, because you can't get them really in, like you say you're going to Morocco or something, you can't get anything there. So I always bring the bars and the gels that I like, because it's nice to actually eat what you want on the water. And then yeah, I also always bring a little nice little pillow as well sometimes.
Nice. Favourite club in Ireland?
Ooh.
Think about
I love Royal North.
Think about where you are.
Royal North, have you enjoyed your time at Royal North?
I have, it's lovely.
Yeah.
What's your favourite? Well, you can give me two. What's your favourite club building atmosphere, whatever, versus where's your favourite sailing venue?
Okay, well,
Give us
club
that.
atmosphere's got to be here, like.
Royal North.
Yeah,
probably.
yeah, we're missing
Okay.
the party downstairs right now.
And what's your favourite venue in Ireland?
Favorite venue,
sailing?
Northerly, Ballyhome. It's lovely. To be honest, I don't really like the Irish clubs because it takes forever to sail out by yourself through the harbour and stuff. Whereas in Ballyhome, you launch and like you're immediately in
You're
waves.
there.
It's like out of nowhere.
Yeah. What about you, Fiachra?
Well, I wouldn't say my own club, but or just Dunleary in general. I think in Ireland, I'd say Baltimore. It's probably
For venue?
venue. It's just such
Inside the harbour or outside the harbour?
for racing inside the harbour, for training outside the harbour.
Yeah.
Yeah, for racing, it's got to be inside the harbour. You know, you have a rock in the middle of the harbour, which is like a key feature as well, and it's just like the natural amphitheatre and the lovely village as well.
Games versus shifts versus fleet.
Yeah.
Lots to consider.
It's probably one of the, especially if this whole new format happens, it'll probably be it might even be an Olympic venue one day.
Oh,
you
we'll
know?
have to get into that, about all that. What about venues you've been at? Favourite venue you've sailed at, and maybe is there somewhere that you'd love to go sail?
Los Angeles was pretty cool. That was
Yeah.
so cool. Yeah. Just like lovely weather and a constant sea breeze. Like the sea breeze was. We got a lie-in as well. The event, which is normally it's like first gun at 11 in Los Angeles every day. First gun 2:00. So we got a lie-in. The beach was wonderful, and just the general atmosphere in Los Angeles, especially when a lot of people haven't really been to America. So much to do there. And yeah.
And places you'd like to sail? Just go back to LA again, is it?
Well, I was pretty envy with Fiachra going to Brazil. I say that was really cool, but you gotta love Garda, Lake Garda as well.
Yeah, cool.
Good simple one.
That was probably one of your best and worst moments all at once, was it? Top
Yeah,
Worlds?
yeah.
The one that got away, right? What about you, Fiachra, then?
Other than Bermuda, I think in terms of laser sailing, I've actually almost been quite annoyed that I've actually never had the opportunity to go back and sail laser there. I mean, I've been since I've left. I've actually only been back once, but I got the boat I actually got out on in the water was a keel boat, and got some almost like the Thursday night racing back home in Dunleary. It was just one of those, and to think in Bermuda in literally the middle of the ocean, like 60,000 people or something live there, and there's still keelboat Thursday night racing on. It just shows you how big sailing is. And so Bermuda's definitely up there in terms of best places that I've sailed. I'd love to go back there and sail laser, especially do a world championship or something like that. And
You'll
then,
bring me.
and then,
Welcome, coach.
and then,
So the NI sailing team in Bermuda, we'll do a trade. They can send people over here. We'll do one of those schools.
You don't need fitting you in. I'm a training partner.
and then what else was I going to say? Yeah, Brazil. When I did the Youth Worlds that Bobby's about to go to, I got lucky enough to have mine in Brazil. So in a place called Boisos, which is, it was stunning, and it was just kind of a bit surreal. Like it almost looked like I was actually in one of the places where they film like the type of movie that would be there. Yeah, but it was like
It's tropical.
Yeah.
There's a question in itself. Bobby about to go to Youth Worlds. We're wrapping up our camp after tomorrow. Still a good bit of stuff to get done on the water. Got a session with Bill tomorrow night just to freshen up a bit of rules and tactical thoughts. What's your advice, Fiachra? Haven't been there. I mean, I know Bobby's been before, but like you've been in the same shoes.
Yeah.
What advice would you give Bobby?
Well, I think we know I'd say me and Bobby have a lot alike as well in terms of how we sail and how we think. But I think when I was there, racing, it's a bit different to your normal racing, and obviously Bobby's already got a Youth Worlds under his belt as well, so he knows that. But in terms of looking at it as it's one fleet, so you're racing the people in front of you, or sometimes you're racing 4 fleets and you've got people you've not even seen in the boat park that are up in the results sheet. So you know who you're racing, and I think to back yourself and know that I can take each moment as it comes, and not let, in sailing you can easily let one bad thing happen and just let it all spiral. But to put an event together, you don't win it on the first day, but you could lose it with doing something silly. So I think
Count numbers, not letters, and
exactly
stuff like that, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's a game of
Yeah,
for sure. It's a game of consistency, and I think consistency doesn't come naturally. I think it comes from
Experience.
and also sailing when you're actually racing, looking at every single moment is kind of as important as the last, in terms of if something bad happens, just throw it out the window and think about what's the next best thing you can do. And if you have that attitude, you'll just naturally overtake boats and naturally put in a top 10 and result after result. The good ones will come, and that's how you put a series together, because it's a good sport in terms of usually the winner, you never really can tell before an event who's going to win it. So even if you're a favorite, you could always have something go wrong.
Well, lads, it's been a pleasure helping you guys out these last few days, and it's been great to have a chat with this. Have you any closing remarks for the guys, or advice to some of the younger guys, or ways they can follow you? You got any socials going yet, Bobby?
You got my Instagram,
Put some links down the comments below, will we?
Yeah, we will. But the thing about me that I'd say separated from a lot of other people was during the winter, I know it's hard that you don't, it's cold, it's raining, and after school you can't really be bothered, but you're really gonna pull the pants up and be like, if I want to get good, I gotta get out there, even if it's by yourself. I'd say majority of my training has been training by myself, whether that's at Royal North or Ballyholme, straight after school. Particularly, it helps with my dad coming back from work. He picks me up and he'll bring me straight to the club. And even if it's out sailing for an hour by myself, because of how quickly it gets dark, it's better than no sailing at all. And doing it frequently, it's just a big game changer. So yeah, that's it from me. So just time on the water, but you're really you need to get your shit together.
It sounds a bit cliche, but it is nearly as simple as that.
Yeah.
You can train smart and improve the time in the water, but you really cannot just beat how much time in the water and experience you can build up. Fiachra, anything to close us out?
Yeah.
Great to have you as a guest here up in the north. And
Thank you.
I think we found out actually with a bit of heritage we could get you into the team if we want.
Pleasure, but no, I think I think for the younger sailors, I think probably the main thing is, like we said, time on the water, but also having a goal in mind each time you go out. If it's on your own, just saying, if it's for the sake of a session, one of the coaches I used to have always said, if you're going out there to have fun and enjoy the sport, just to get yourself back into it, then do that and just clear the head, because that's why you're doing it. But if you want to work on something, then say that, and before a session, if you're even going out your own, or you're going out with a group of guys, say, listen guys, today we'll work on our boat speed, or the next day we'll work on our boat handling or starts. And the more people you can get together, the more traction you can build, and eventually you might get a group going, like for example Bobby did with these last 4 days. So I think it's super important to always have a session goal and always have something in mind, especially the younger you are.
And that'd probably be something I'd say is, actually, you'd be surprised how many people are in the same position as you but haven't made it happen either. So if you, like Bobby's reached out to a few of his buddies, asked myself and our way to help out through these 4 days together pretty quickly, we're actually here today at Royal North where they've got the 400 Winter Series going. Again, a bunch of mates got together, asked the club would they support them and run some racing 19 something years ago, and they're still rumbling and get stronger every year. So probably my big advice would be find out who else shares the same passion and get together. Don't be held back by your club. Don't be held back by what your brother wants to do, or if your dad's not into sailing or whatever it might be. Surround yourself with the people that have the same mindset and get after it, and you'd be surprised what a good group you can build. All right, lads, thank you very much. That's been a pleasure. And I mean, I don't know if this ever becomes a podcast, but if it does, this could be officially number 1, right? Maybe we get this back together again when you get some medals
Number
around the necks. We get some medals around the necks and get you guys back in 10 years for like a catch up.
Unemployed.